Who can claim authority on the spiritual path? That's what we're going to dig a bit deeper in this episode of Consciousness in Me. My name is Josefin. I can't say that I've learned this in any way. I guess I was just gracefully given to me, this notion that I'm not so interested in people giving me things to believe in, but I do want them to guide me to understand things, as in discover it for myself, as in support me how to rationally come to a conclusion or show me where to find it. I want to see it for myself. I don't want to have a belief to hold on to. And that's just been my natural wiring since I was a kid, I think. I think that's why I just went into the spiritual, to the scientific path, because that's a bit wired for understanding. It's not about believing science. It's about learning a scientific method and then apply it and have other people show you what they did and why they came to the conclusions that they did. And somehow I just brought that along for the rest of life as well, and into spirituality. And I think it's taking me a while to understand what a gem that is, especially seeing people getting caught in spiritual communities or following a person that turned out to not be so aligned with their teaching, getting caught in manipulation. And somehow, luckily, so far, I've been spared from that. That doesn't mean I'm somehow superior to anyone else. But I think one of the things that has saved me from that is that I'm not looking for anyone else to tell me what it's like. I want to understand for myself. I want to see it for myself. Notice what it's like for you. Do you share that? Do you look for someone who can point you in the right direction to see for yourself? Or are you searching for someone else to tell you the answer? Maybe it's fluctuating. Maybe it's different in different areas. But when we believe someone else, we abandon our own authority. We give them authority over our own experiences, over our own understanding, over our own intuition. That's taking a risk of forming yet another belief, not actually coming closer to the lived embodiment of truth, but rather going from one belief to another belief. And it can be so subtle. It's not always clear when we give our authority away or when we put someone else in charge of knowing the truth. So what could that look like? It could look like, let's say you have someone who you consider to be a spiritual teacher, and you ask this person. It could be any question. It could be, what happens after death? And then they give you an answer, and you take that for truth. You say, okay, then I also know what happens after death. And that's okay to do that. Just be aware that you haven't seen through that yourself. It came to you and now you believe it, as in you taken it for truth because someone you believe in said that. So what would it look like if we would rather take it as a pointer? Well, you could ask the same question. You could ask what happens after death, and the person gives you an answer. And then you take that answer and you map it together with everything you've learned so far, or how you experience death, what your thoughts are about it. And then you start to dismantle it. Is it anything, if this is true that this person says, what of my other beliefs is it contradiction? Is it in contradiction with? There's a small friction here, because during the death process, I've seen a loved one and this happened. And then you can go back to this person and express, but I've seen this. How does this fit into your model? And maybe they have a clear answer. They say, oh, what you've been observing is this little detour, and that fits right into the explanation I give you. Okay, then you've rationally made sense of that. So it's become your understanding rather than a belief. And this is an ongoing process. Then when you experience something yourself, maybe you have a deep meditation, a near-death experience, then you take that experience and you put it up to this model that you have of how you've made sense of death. And then you keep crunching it, you keep feeling, and you keep questioning. And that's how you make it your own. That's how you go to your own discovery rather than taking on someone else's belief. And at the heart of this is a very deep trust for yourself. You trust that you are in contact with life. Life is flowing through you just as much as it flows through anyone else. And I'm not claiming this to be the case because I cannot know, but everything in my experience tells me that I am as much in contact with reality as anyone else is. And anyway, if they were to be in more contact with reality than I am, I still have to receive those messages through a filter that is myself. So the absolute closest way to truth for me is to go within, is to follow the flow of life that flows through me. That's why I can trust this. But even if there was a guru out there who's somehow that I can't fathom, has more contact with truth, the only way for me to get that information from her or him would be to listen through my own sense perceptions or to read it. But I have to filter it through myself and through my own understanding of words and understanding of the world. So another way, it still puts me, my inner world, my experience, as the most direct path to truth, to life. So choosing to be guided by other people, but still put your own lived experience first, is trusting yourself, is building trust with yourself. And if you don't have trust for yourself, well, maybe that's a way to start. You could examine that actually I give more trust in this person than I do in myself. Let's start unravel that. And maybe if this other person, if it's a guru or a friend or whoever, if they're even open to have that discussion with you, look, this is what's happening. When you tell me things, I believe you. How do I do it to be my own lived experience? So, in that sense, maybe you don't even have to start with having trust with yourself. Maybe that's the first step to build. How do I clarify what I know? Because if we just put a belief in, we put it on top of a whole different other clutter, and the ground becomes a little bit fragile. Because we cannot come to this conclusion ourselves. We haven't seen through it. We just have it as a bubble that we hold on to. So it becomes a bit of a rigidity there. We have to store it in the mind. It's not our lived experience in that sense. And when it's not our lived experience, we're still dependent on mind. We haven't stepped out of the realm of mind. We haven't gone to our own essence. And this is such a sweet topic for me, because it puts everyone on equal positions. It doesn't give anyone else the right to claim truth, the absolute truth, over anyone else. All we can do is point to it, help each other see it in ourselves. And also be alert when we do give our authority away. Because I'm pretty sure we've all done it. I've done it for sure. But maybe to a lesser extent, because I have this love for understanding. I have this inclination in me. Where it comes from, I have no idea. I just feel very blessed that it's there. But I'm pretty sure it's available for everyone. And for me, I'm quite mind-oriented, so my mind has to be on board in a sense. And I have a a sense that some people are more intuitive. Maybe for them it's a natural thing. They trust their own intuition over what anyone else says. But you don't have to start there. You could go via the mind and still put your own experience on the throne as the access to truth. And for me, the hallmark of a good spiritual teacher, if you even want to call it a teacher then, is to know this, is to have it fully embodied, is not to preach complete truth to people in the sense that I know this, you just have to believe me. No, for me, there's a softening in my nervous system. I can relax when the person I'm listening to is aware that they don't claim authority here. They've just seen something and they try to point to that for other people. For me, that's trustworthy. And it keeps the teaching fresh. It keeps it connected to the ultimate reality rather than have been packaged in a mind structure in a story that you just hand out to people. No, you connect everyone to the source, their own source, the source of life, the source of reality. And then the words just point to that. They don't carry any significance in themselves. What is your relationship with this? How do you find out more? Is it about believing someone else, or is it about finding your own truth? Please do share in the comments. I'm very curious to hear. And I hope to see you next time.